Welcome back to Love and Junk. I'm Laura.
I'm John.
And today we're going to tell you what we thought of the Joker.
Yeah, past weekend we saw the Joker movie.
Yeah, long awaited. Let's give a little background. I do love me some Iron Man. But in addition to Iron Man, Batman, Joker, Harley have always been right there in contention.
Yeah, like Iron Man is probably your Marvel favorite, and then like the whole Batman and Joker and Harley Quinn is your DC favorite. Would you say that?
I would say that, and I am hard pressed to tell you who I'm more a fan of.
Right. It depends on the moment, doesn't it?
And as far as the movie goes, it depends on who's the Joker and who's Batman.
Yeah. Right.
Because there's been some winners and some losers.
Yeah. George Clooney? No thanks.
What? I love George Clooney in some things.
In
some things.
Yeah, but as a Batman, that was a horrible movie.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Didn't help that Arnold was Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. Batman is known. They have some great villains,
yeah.
right?
Right.
And so I have such a place in my heart for all of the villains. They're all cool in their own different ways. The Riddler is really awesome, and the Penguin, and I'm not talking about movies. I'm talking about the comics.
Right.
You know. But the Joker, there's just something that I've always just had such an affinity for the Joker. And Heath Ledger was amazing. So I had those feelings like,
right.
I don't know how I feel about this whole thing.
Yeah, and going into it, I didn't know how I felt about it because I'm like, okay, it's set in like the 80s or something, and here's this, Joaquin Phoenix is the Joker, and I'm like, what is this going to be about? I mean, you're not going to have Batman there. It's not going to be like a hero versus villain type thing.
Right.
And so I had some reservations going in, but let me just say, amazing.
Yeah. This is an origin. Let's just get this out of the way. Spoiler alert. I'm going to say that in the title too, but I'm saying it now. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going to hold back on what happens or whatever. So this is an origin story for the Joker, and it affected me deeply.
Yeah, me too. Like, when I came out of the theater from that, I mean, it was an amazing performance, but I came out like just kind of like questioning things, and it did affect you. Like part of the theme of the movie is mental health, and that's mental health issues are at like an epidemic proportion in our country, and I see it in my job almost every day. So it was
and
very,
at home.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it is an origin story. It starts with him living with his mom, and she tells him his purpose in life is to go out and be happy and spread joy and make people laugh and whatever. And he's trying to do that as a clown. And he is very, very disturbed. He has a condition that makes him laugh.
When he's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh,
The whole, and you know what? I feel like everybody has that. I kept watching him and saying, I could play the Joker, like to a lesser degree. I have laughed uncontrollably when I've been upset before.
Right. And, sometimes everybody, like when they're uncomfortable or something in front of other people that they're not close with, that, sometimes you use laughter as an escape out of it, and that's like he is in this movie, but it's so sad at times. This is a deep movie. It's not your typical comic book.
Do not take children to see this movie unless you know your child really well and feel that they can handle it. It is depressing. It is sad. It is they may not understand it
Yeah.
too, because there's a lot of flashes in this movie where you have to figure out, is this really happening, or is this what he wants to have happen,
Or yeah, something.
or whatever. And so you don't understand real from fiction in
Right.
several parts in the movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it's about him, and he has issues in his job, and there's a murder that happens in Gotham.
It is in Gotham.
A couple of them, 3, right?
Yeah.
And he is a suspect, and they know that a clown has killed these people, and so the whole town goes nuts with wearing clown faces and masks and
Right.
vigilante kind of behavior.
Yeah, because this movie not only gets into like mental health and stuff like that, but it gets into questions of society, because the people that were killed were like
Very wealthy.
and
jerks.
Yeah, they were jerks. So, part of the city is rising up, saying, "Yeah, we're sick of this treatment," and they're, definitely wearing the clown masks and on his side.
There's several times in the movie, too, where if you haven't, I'm hoping that if you've seen it, I mean, if you're watching this, you have seen it. But
Right.
there are several times in the movie where I tried to put myself in those shoes. There's a point where he's on the train or on a bus, and there's a child looking at him, and he's kind of playing with the child, and the mom gets upset and says to stop bothering
Yeah.
the kid, and he starts laughing, and it hurt me.
Yeah, it was very sad. I had like tears welling up at that point,
Yeah.
because and that was kind of at the beginning of
Yeah.
the show, and he's sitting there, and you can just see him being uncomfortable, and how the laughter just starts coming out.
I know, and I wanted to say, make your child turn around. I mean, have you ever sat? I love little kids, so this is not, I do. So this
Yeah.
isn't a comment on children, but you're sitting in a booth, and the other booth adjacent to yours, the kid's up and turning around, and I'm always smiling and playing with them and whatever. I would be destroyed if somebody told me not to. And I would say, well, have your kid, if you don't want
Yeah.
your kid to be talking and interacting with me, tell your kid to sit down.
Yeah, parent your child.
It made me angry at so many different parts. I cried. I don't remember laughing a whole lot. There were some
No.
sweet, like, tender moments that I felt for him. He does meet Bruce Wayne in this movie,
Yep.
and that's sad, and you understand then
Right.
what that rivalry is about between the two.
Yeah, but yeah, so there's that rivalry that kind of pops up, and it really, the story is told well. And, you've had this story come up, like the origin story for Batman, several times, and like how his parents get killed and everything. And I think this is probably the best job at how the situation was. I think it was really done well.
I do too.
Um,
So there's a part too that stuck with me, which is he's going to I don't know exactly what she was. If she was a social worker or if she was a doctor,
Yeah.
I couldn't really tell. Somebody with a badge. He's going and talking. Somebody that definitely has a link to social services.
Right.
And he's talking to her. And they show that a couple of times during the movie. And then she tells them that funds for that program have been cut.
Right.
And he says, well, how am I going to get my medications? And I think she said he's on like 8 different ones at
Right.
some point. And to think about he's struggling that much, and is on 8 medications, and then the funds get cut, and you know that things like that do happen.
Yeah.
And not only do funds get cut, but people just can't afford their medications.
I mean, that happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So he definitely is a villain, but it was done so well that I think people will have a new love for the Joker going
Right.
forward, and an appreciation of maybe where, I mean, I understand it's a movie, but a different spin. And I have to say that I wasn't sure about Joaquin Phoenix. I can't say I'm the biggest fan. I don't know his work very well.
Right.
Is what I'll
His
say.
older stuff when he was a kid. But.
Right. But he was amazing. And I really felt for Jared Leto because I also liked him as the Joker. Very, very different, right? Heath is very different. And Jared Leto was flashy.
Right.
I'm all that Joker. And
Yeah, he seemed more like the type of Joker that he was just like, I don't know, like punk rock kind of, where he's just, anarchist. I'm above the
Right.
system, or there shouldn't
Right.
be a system or whatever. And then there's this, and Joker. This movie really does portray the best origin story ever, because when I was a kid, I grew up with the TV show and their portrayal, and I never really understood. I'm like, why is this guy dressing up like this? Yeah, so he like robs banks and stuff, but whatever. And then you got Jack Nicholson. Okay, Heath Ledger did really good, but this portrayal, I mean, you understand the Joker, or where he's coming from. At least you might not understand him, but you know where he's coming from if you watch this movie.
yeah, and then there's the whole relationship with his mom too.
Yeah.
That's really disturbing and sad. And I can tell you a feel-good moment that I did have was, there's the moment, right, where he's dyeing his hair,
Right.
and he had been like tortured, like sad, just put on like a rubber, thing for his hair,
Yeah.
and makeup, and he dyes his hair, and he puts on like the purple suit, and at this point in the movie, people are, detectives are after him and wanting to ask him questions. He's avoiding. He's just doing what he has to do in his life, and he's taking care of his horrible mother, and he's doing all these things. And so he dyes his hair. He puts the suit on, and they show him on the set of Stairs, and he's dancing and happy, like
Right.
he has finally. He's not pretending to be something. He has become something
Right.
at that moment.
Yeah, he's
And
just being himself.
he is feeling himself in that moment.
Right.
He's dancing around and splashing in puddles, and I was like, "You go, boy."
Yeah, it was. That was definitely one of the better moments, I think.
And there wasn't many. There was not very many in that movie where I was like, "Yeah, that feels great." Nope, it was like kicks in the stomach all during
Yeah.
the movie.
It was continuous. Like the character just took hit after hit after hit.
Yeah. So, if you haven't seen it, and I mean, I've tried to be a little cryptic, but if you haven't seen it, go see it. And if
Yeah.
you've seen it, go see it again. And
I want to see it again. but-
I do too.
Yeah.
I need a minute though to prepare myself a little bit. We watched the trailer just to kind of get our, if we're in our feelings right now a little bit, because we just watched the trailer before we
Yeah.
did this for you, because I wanted that same, and John wanted to see it, and I wanted that same kind of feeling. You can tell just from the trailer, I think, the tone of the movie, but you don't know how it's going to affect you.
It is very emotional.
Yeah.
We were very affected by
If
it.
you care about the world and you care about people at all, you're going to be affected. I have definitely had people in my world with mental illness. Even if you struggle with depression or anxiety, or like this is something that somebody that for one little episode in their life they could be pushed in the direction to like go over the edge, right?
Right.
Like everybody is you know, what do they say? Everybody is like a couple paychecks away from being in poverty.
Right.
I feel like everybody's a couple of things from happening to them to go completely crazy.
Right, and that's the thing, you know, we have to support each other. Don't put each other down because you don't know what somebody's going through. And in this movie, this is an example of somebody that just kept getting knocked and knocked and knocked and knocked, and there was nobody there
There's
to
no
help
place to
pick him
turn.
up. So
Yeah. So, anyway, and I have said this before, I have kind of a fascination with serial killers and people that do bad things because I always want to know what happened to this poor person to make them do whatever they did. And not that I have empathy necessarily, but I just feel like they could have been saved. At what point could they have been saved? Could it have been turned around? Was it their parents? Was it
or prevented maybe.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So it bothered me for a long time after watching that movie, and I hope that if you've seen it, you felt the same.
Yeah,
It's an awesome movie,
it is very good.
but it is not happy.
No, but that doesn't mean that it's not good.
Right. And that's not real life, right?
Right.
Not everything in life is happy.
Yeah, and you know, it certainly brings up some real life issues, even though it's bottom line, it's a comic book story, you know.
Right. But I do hope that if you watch it, that you go about the world showing more compassion to other people,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And I do hope that you subscribe to our channel.
Yep.
And don't forget to hit the little bell so you can be notified when we do put out another video. If you want us to review more things too, let us know because, you know, we are on the cutting edge of things.
Oh yes.
And this was kind of fun to do. It's different than what we normally do, but it was
Right.
kind of fun to do. We both felt very passionate about saying something about this movie. It is kind of a, you know, in any of our videos, one of us, if not both of us, is wearing some kind of nerdy shirt. It is kind of our, you know, thing too. So we knew we wanted to review this, so it was a good one to start with.
That's right.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Over there, we're Love and Junk with no D.
Yep. LOVEANJUNK.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like Batman,
Or the Joker.
yeah, or any of those awesome DC characters,
Or Marvel characters too.
yeah, you know, if you're a nerd, give us a thumbs up.
That's right. And that's all we have for today, right?
That's it, guys.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.